guys, welcome to my final dance tutorial on the hips for now. We've already covered the hip roll or the vertical figure eight. We've done the horizontal figure eight. We have done hip circles and isolations. We've done winding, and now it's finally time for the shimmy. Okay, so before we get started, I would really recommend you get your hands on a coin belt, such as this one. And the reason behind it is, as you can see, you only need a small amount of force on the belt to really create impact. So what this does is this really exaggerates and emphasizes on your hip movements. And just that aside, they're very cheap, quite affordable, and just a nice bit of kit to have, really, quite aesthetically pleasing, and you never know when you're going to need one. So go grab yourselves the coin belt, treat yourselves. Right, so before we get started, I'm just going to expose my hips so you can see. So let's put the belt on. Goes on quite easily, just around your hips. I've had to use a spare bedside lamp, otherwise the lighting in here is quite rubbish at this time of the night, so I hope you don't get a lot of glaring. Okay, alrighty. So the shimmy has got a few similarities with the hip roll, but it also has distinct differences. If you remember, with the hip roll, we've got the heel of the floor, hip up and hip out action. So hip up and out. Unlike the hip roll, the shimmy is just hip up. Okay. Another distinct difference is with the hip roll, we use the action of our heel off the floor, and we raise the heel quite a bit to get the hip to go towards our chest as much as possible. And with the shimmy, it's more the action of straightening a knee that is bent. So if you look at it from the profile, my knees are quite bent, so you just straighten it, and that also takes your hip up. The reason behind that is the action of actually taking your heel off the floor. It's quite time consuming. Doesn't feel like it, but it is. And that's because the shimmy is a very rapid move, and it is way easier to straighten your knee than to take your heel off the floor. Yeah, so remember, unlike the hip roll, we straighten our knee instead of raising the heel, and it's not hip up and out such as this, just hip up. Okay, once you've grasped those two differences, it's very easy to learn. So we'll start off slow, and then once you've got it in your head, once you understand the mechanics, then you can speed it up as much as you like. Okay, so we have our feet sort of shoulder width distance apart, maybe. Or closer, whatever really works for you, whatever gives you a good base. So for this one, we bend our knees, okay? Because if our knees were straightened, you're not going to be able to straighten your knees anymore. And the straightening of the knee is what causes the shimmy. Okay, so we bend our knees. I have the tendency to go from left to right. Tend to start always in my left leg, whether I'm doing the hip roll or whether I'm doing the figure eight. So do whatever works for you. Okay, but first we're going to straighten our left knee, which will take our hip up, and then back down, and then the right knee. Okay, so it's something like this. I'm going to come a little bit closer. Of course, this is not going to be the hip up motion. It's not going to be as exaggerated for the shimmy as it is for the hip roll, because when you raise your heel up, you're almost sort of tiptoeing, so it gives you a lot more height. But the shimmy is not about exaggeration, it's about speed. When I show you a full shimmy in a moment, you'll see that it's not sort of how high you can raise your hip that matters, it's how good your vibrations are, and that comes with the speed of straightening your knee. Okay, so I'm going to come a little bit closer. I mean, what you may find that your heel comes off the floor slightly. That's natural. But when I say slightly, I really mean slightly. It needs to be minimal, otherwise you're not going to be able to get that speed on your shimmy. Okay, so here's me at a close distance. So knees bent, straighten, back, straighten, back, straighten, back, straighten, back. So this is from the side. I'll go the distance so you can see that I'm not really moving my heels. So knees bent, straighten, hip up, and if you look in the mirror, you'll see my right hip. Straighten, right hip up, straighten, straighten. So just practice really, just sort of don't try to do it sort of in one go. Don't try to run before you can walk. So don't try to apply the speed element straight away. Just practice the action of not moving your heel and moving your knee, because once you learn the hip roll, well, that was the case with me. Anything else you do, you automatically go for your heel as opposed to your knee, because you've become used to it. So in this instance, you have to become used to something else, something new. Okay, so always remember to have your knees bent, up, 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 knees straight instead of up, straight, straight, straight. So you just do this as much as you need to until it becomes mechanical, until you're not thinking about the hip roll anymore. Okay, so once you're happy, then instead of sort of the up, pause, up, you can just do up, 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 up. Okay, so don't come up and down. I mean, don't straighten your knee, bend your knee, then pause, then straighten your knee, then bend your knee, then pause. So just sort of straight, 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 straight. Okay, so if you look, knees bent. Don't know where to put my hands so they're not in the way. I'll adapt to belly dance position. So knees bent. Yeah? So the reason that pause is continuous, up, 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 instead of up, down, pause, up, down, pause. So do this a few times until you're happy. So. Once you're happy, the next step is to do it quick. The steps remain the same, but you just have to sort of over time, you'll be able to apply more speed. Okay, so when you're doing a proper shimmy, it looks something like this. Yeah, as you can see, the faster you do, the less your hip actually comes up, because you're not concerned with sort of having your knees fully bent and straightening it all the way, and then straightening it all the way. You're more concerned with doing that quick. The quicker you do it, unfortunately, the less bend you put on the knee. But as I explained at the start, the shimmy is not about how high up you can move your hip towards your chest. It's about that speed, it's about that vibration that goes through your hips. Okay, so if you want to have another look, let me come a bit closer. Something like this. I've got quite a bit of fat tissue around my hips, which kind of exaggerates the move a little bit. If you're skinnier, don't expect to see so much sort of effect. So the shimmy is going to look different depending on body type and body size. Okay, and from the side, from front, and that's it. I mean, once you've become very comfortable with it, you can incorporate a belly roll in a shimmy. So you sort of do the shimmy and at the same time you're doing the belly roll, but you have to become very, very comfortable with it because you're trying to put two moves together. So you kind of have to do one in your subconscious and then add on the other one whilst being conscious about it. I can't really explain it, but it's quite difficult when I first started to learn it. Sort of as I was about to do the belly roll, my shimmy would stop. So it takes quite a bit of understanding to be able to put the two together. But for now, just don't even worry about speed. Just get unused to the heel off the floor action of the hip roll. Instead, straightening your knee to move your hip up. Okay? Once you're happy with it, reduce that pause in between one hip going up and the other hip going up. So instead of up, down, pause, do up, 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 up. And then over time, that becomes quicker. And eventually, it becomes just one movement. And from the side, so up, up, up. Over time, it's going to become quicker. And eventually just going to blend. You're not even going to realise at what point one hip goes down, at one point the other one goes up. It's just going to look like this. And once you're happy with it, then I will try and teach you the combination of the shimmy and the belly roll, which is going to be quite difficult to teach. I mean, you can practice by all means, see whether you can get it first time. It's going to be the shimmy, and as you're shimmying, you're going to do the belly roll. Okay guys, that's it for now. Please leave comments and ask questions. If you need me to try and explain certain bits better, I will try. God, I'm running out of breath. Yeah, that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Take care.